Okay, and as you saw on the beginning screen, we are doing a little bit of online polling, and that is just menti.com, and you enter a code, and we will open a few questions as they become available. But we just wanted to introduce ourselves. So Rena, do you want to unmute? And I'll let you go first.
There, thank you, Cedar, for allowing me to unmute myself. So welcome everyone. Thanks for helping us celebrate America Recycles Day. Of course, observed today was yesterday, so hopefully you took part in some recycling activities yesterday. Cedar's coming from an opposite end of the building, and I'm coming from the conference room in the recycling center. So we're glad you're here. We're glad that you're here. I don't know if Cedar said I'm Rena Simon, the recycling manager. And Cedar, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope, just so I'm the public information and education officer. So I work with Rena and other staff in the solid waste department to kind of educate people about their waste and kind of spread the word about how to recycle, why to recycle, how to dispose of many different things properly.
So we're all in history today. This has never been done on America Recycles Day in Otter County to have a Zoom meeting. So
no, it's
very lucky to be.
Okay, let's see. Gotta make sure the slides go. There we go. So if anybody has questions, just feel free to enter them into the chat, and we'll pause a couple of times during our half hour to answer any questions you have. Hopefully some of them we will just answer, but if we don't, you feel free to type those in and we'll get to them. So we are actually going to start off with a poll. So I'm going to pull that up. Make sure I'm on the right one. There we go. So you should have seen a screen that looks something like that, and you would enter in your code. And I've just opened voting. So we want to know from people on the Zoom, which of the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, that we are so familiar with, results in the most environmental benefit. So we'll give people a few minutes to enter in their responses. And we will see what happens. So it looks like you have 6 responses so far and about 12 people on, maybe 11 if we take away a staff member or 2. So we'll give you a minute to get there. Okay, so I see there is a response in the chat, recycle, and there was a question. Feel free to have your video on or off. It's totally up to you. We're just keeping everybody muted. So if you do have questions, just put them in the chat. But it's up to you if you want your video on or off. So I say there's somebody responding recycle in the chat, somebody saying reuse in the chat. Okay, so actually I'm really impressed that so far only maybe 1 or 2 people has said recycle. So Rena will be covering some of this a little bit later on, but there was actually some research done recently showing that most people think that recycling has the most environmental benefit. It's kind of an easy thing to do. A lot of people do it, but we tend to forget the first 2 R's, and they are ranked in order of importance. So if you put down reduce, that's wonderful, because what has the most impact or the most environmental benefit is the waste that we just don't make. Because even really anytime you manufacture something, and that includes things that are destined for being turned into stuff through recycling, still takes energy, transportation, and so on. So reducing, not making it in the first place, is the best. Then reusing what already exists is also great. still better to not make it. Reusing is great. And lastly, recycling. So we tend to think of recycling first. This is actually shown by research, but really the most environmental benefit is from not making it in the first place. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm going to go back to where we were. Oh, and my mouse is being really weird. Oh, that is strange. There we go. Okay, so we are talking about recycling and reducing waste because we have a problem. We make so much garbage. So we won't go into the numbers a lot right now, but in your lifetime, you will make the weight of 9 school buses worth of garbage. And it's just too much. We're making mountains of it, and we all can do better. So we can use, reduce, reuse, recycle to really make a lot less garbage. So that's kind of why we're here today, is because we do want to do less. All right, so in Ottertail County, we make quite a bit of garbage like everywhere else. And I just wanted to give you an idea of where it goes, because it really doesn't go away when you put it in the garbage bin or the recycling bin either. It goes somewhere. And so in Ottertail County, we are lucky to have a waste to energy facility located in Perham. So the big orange slice is actually garbage that's getting turned into energy. We're really reusing, well, recovering energy from those resources. We're not able to reuse them, but we're getting some energy out of that. We're shrinking the garbage. That's of great benefit to us and reduces landfilling. But we do still landfill. So that's the gray part. And then the blue slice, which is a little on the small side, is what we're recycling. And so we would love to see that blue slice get bigger. All right, Rena is going to cover a little bit of recycling right.
So I'm guessing a lot of you are already recycling right, but it's great to have a refresher, and I encourage you to share with any friends or any people that you may see at sites that may not be recycling right. So some pretty easy do's and don'ts. The things that we should always do: flatten those cardboard boxes, please. None of the styrofoam extra packaging, unless it's like craft paper inside of the boxes. You can leave the labels and tape, that's not a big deal, but none of the content should be with it unless it's corrugated cardboard. Please keep your paper and cardboard as clean and dry as possible. I know that's not always easy, so give your best effort. And be sure to empty and rinse your containers. So what Cedar and I have always said, just a quick rinse of your container. Hopefully you're not like me and you put the soup can next to the sink, and then the next morning you realize you forgot to rinse it. So try and rinse it as soon as you can so that you can get the most residue out as possible. And leave those caps on, the caps and lids, like the cottage cheese containers, you can leave that lid on it. And then there's a better chance that that will be captured to be recycled. And as always, you can check the recycling guide or the Waste Wizard on our website, or call or email us. We love when people call and have questions. So don't be bashful there. As far as the don'ts, so we want to make sure that our operations running efficiently as possible, and it would be great if we went through a whole day and didn't have to sort out all the contaminants. So some things to keep in mind, I guess related, is also don't throw your recycling in the garbage. That waste is a resource. So first and foremost, recycle all that you can. But when it comes to throwing the things in the bin, wish cycling is really big. Wish cycling or whatever cycling, and we'll go over that a little bit later, but sometimes people throw things in and they're like, oh, well, they'll just go through it, or they'll find a way to get it recycled. And that's not the case, especially as it comes to like styrofoam, clothing, scrap metal. Those things don't belong in our recycling roll-offs at our sites, or if you have curbside, they don't belong in your curbside bins. Also, we want to keep our staff really safe and protected as possible. So don't put the gross stuff in your recycling. No diapers, no needles, no food, no caked on spaghetti all over paper plates. Doesn't belong. We want to make sure that we can get our products to end markets, and we don't want any of that contamination to find its way in. Also, electronics, and cords. So they may be recyclable, but not in our general program. Cords can be accepted, I think year round, right, Cedar, at household waste. So we can make sure that they get recycled, but especially Christmas lights, we don't want that in your recycling bin. As far as electronics, so they're accepted generally for a small fee at our transfer stations, but shouldn't go with your paper, plastic, glass, metal. And probably the most important thing, I don't know if any of you have noticed the no bag campaign. So we had brown stickers on our big blue recycling roll-offs at our sites with a couple of our staff as new celebrities. I heard they don't even charge for autographs if you want one someday, but please don't bag your recycling. A big campaign. We have 4 part-time people that work 2 to 3 days a week. All they do pretty much is pull cardboard from regular recycling and open bags, heavy on the opening bags. They open bags all day long for generally 2 to 3 days a week. So please don't bag your recycling. Just leave the contents loose in the bins. And if you see anyone else, I don't know if you want to gently remind them that they don't have to do that. I do use a plastic bag for my plastic, but I dump it in the bin and then reuse the plastic bag. So that's definitely an option for people. Am I missing anything, Cedar? Can you think of anything else?
I think that's it.
One thing
I'm just gonna peek and see if there was questions here while you keep going.
Sure. One thing I would add is please don't overstuff the bins. We'll be going over a little bit later the work that our staff does, and we try and remain as efficient as possible, and we get to all the sites as quickly as we can and as efficiently as we can. But when things are overstuffed, that adds some extra problems. And when people leave contents on the ground, recyclable or not, that obviously adds to the workload. So if the bins are full, please wait, or we have sites scattered all throughout the county. So there may be another close to you.
And there was one quick question about magazines. Can magazines go in as is, or do we need to remove the covers from magazines? And do we accept Christmas lights year round? Do you want to just quickly address those and then we'll go on to the next thing?
Sure. So as long as it's all glossy paper, you wouldn't have to tear off any covers. And so we generally say no bags. I think those of us on this call right now are maybe more avid recyclers. The magazines, if you have a slug of magazines, you can always drop them off at a recycling center, and we have a cage just for magazines in our reuse center. They are accepted in the fibers, so with your other paper, if you don't have a lot of them, but if you have a lot, it's preferred to bring them in. Does that cover that, Cedar? And then lights? So lights are year round.
At transfer stations and the recycling center.
Yes.
Yep. And there's a quick question about caps on or leave off. And so I just typed into the chat, leave the caps on. That's a tricky one. It got changed, for years and years it was caps off. And then now that it's caps on, it throws everyone for a loop. So
I felt
right. So we're moving along. Oh, this is one of my favorite pictures ever. Rena's just going to share for just a couple of minutes about wish cycling.
Yes, so wish is a big thing. And another thing that I mentioned is whatever recycling. So wish cycling is it's more of a gentle form of whatever recycling. Whatever recycling is just total disregard and disrespect for the whole recycling program. No one would think that throwing a fish in is appropriate. So that's probably not even wish cycling. That's what I've termed whatever recycling.
Yeah.
Wish cycling, though, it can be tricky. So a lot of times we'll see laundry baskets or plastic totes. So they may even have a recycling symbol on them. Yes, they're recyclable, but we don't have markets for everything. So here in this picture, you can show a perfectly good hat. Looks like Woody, a character from Toy Story. A basketball hoop, that net looks like it's even in great shape. A jumbo eraser with a cute little pig on it in the packaging. A bowling ball. I mean, and one thing we never, ever, ever want to see are those biohazard bags. I mean, that's horrible. So a lot of crazy things that come through. Cedar, do you want me to go through the other stuff or should we save that for a little bit later?
We could, do you want to do that now? We certainly could.
So I will show just a few other things. This is just what came across the line last Wednesday through Friday. So I can't see right where I am. Some skillets, and it's too bad, but the eggs came through on the line the day before. We could add some nice omelets. I mean, check out the quality in those. They're like, mine look way worse than that at home. So this could go in scrap metal. I mean, if there's no use left in them, it could go in scrap metal. These beautiful butterfly wings.
We're gonna have to like rock, paper, scissors, who gets to take those home?
Some really cute, like if you have a little tiny dog, look at those little cute booties. It must have been a two-legged dog because only two of them were in there. They cost $19.99 for those things, and they're like brand new. They just threw them in the recycling. And then we have just a couple more. Any board?
And we see this constantly. I mean, this is not just like us saving up examples for a year. This is on a routine basis.
A little squishy. Brian's World squishy. There was a whole Ziploc bag of them. They look like they've been played with. So a lot of things that you wouldn't expect to find. We have a couple of workers here who they just love the thrill of coming to work and seeing what they'll come across the line. So, I mean, in that way it's entertaining and keep it up, but we don't want it in there. So please don't keep it up.
All right, let's see if I can get to the next question. There we go. I think we have an online poll now. After seeing all the crazy stuff that people put in the recycling bin, you know, what do you guys think? I know there's a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of news stories that have been going on in the past couple of years. You know, we used to send a lot of our recycling overseas, maybe to China or other places as well, and in big shipping containers. And that market actually got mostly shut down. Time has passed so quickly, at least a year and a half ago, maybe longer. So there were lots of articles in the news about how recycling is dead, or, you know, your recycling is getting burned or buried. So we do encounter lots of skepticism. And so, you know, we're curious, this might be not your typical crowd. If you're a lot of people here who already know a lot about recycling, it might skew the answers a little bit, but we're curious. And feel free to put it in the chat if you can't get menti.com to work. So we have 6 people so far who say they are very confident. 2 people are somewhat confident. Let me just peek in the chat and see if we've got a couple more people. We've got a very confident. And we will wait just a second and see if a few more come in. I'm glad to see no one yet has said not very confident. Because we do encounter that. All right, we'll give it just a few more seconds. Anybody else? Oh, another person said very confident. So we're getting up there in terms of participants. So this is wonderful. Even if a few people are still struggling with their answer, this is great because I do know a lot of people are concerned if the recycling is getting recycled. So they feel like maybe it doesn't matter, you know, why should I go to this work of putting it in the bin when it's nothing's going to happen to it anyway. I just read an article about it getting burned or buried, et cetera. I do hear that a lot. I feel like our other staff hears that a lot. And Rena and I can assure you that if it's going in the recycling bin and it is a recyclable item, it's very, very, for the most part, all of that is getting recycled. So some of those wish cycling examples, a storage tote, it even has the number on the bottom maybe. The number actually doesn't tell you if it's recyclable or not. So there's some exceptions there, but by and large, everything that you're putting in your bin that is recyclable is going on to have a new life as a new product. So this looks good. Let me swap back because I do want to tell you what is happening to your recycling. I haven't missed anything, have I, Rena? Did you want to say anything else about that?
Just one thing about, I know there have been videos out there about recycling trucks or waste haulers who it may look like they're tipping both carts into the same truck. There very well could be places, especially on the coast, where they had really problems with markets, but there are some trucks too that are kind of a dual packer. And so we're lucky here in Minnesota. We have markets closer to us where I think on the coast especially, they were really reliant on sending off to other markets, not domestic markets. So my whole point would be that we're lucky in the state of Minnesota. We have good support and we have good markets. So
yeah. So in 1 year, this is one of my favorite things. You know, most of the time we measure recycling in tons, and it's just not easy for most of us to really think in those numbers. And so I had some fun. We crunched the numbers and we decided a more sort of relevant or relatable way to do that would be to show you how many items or how much your recycling is actually making when it's being recycled. So in 1 year, recycling from Otter County could make 7.6 million new drink cans, you know, beer cans, pop cans. Aluminum is very valuable, so please do not let it go in the garbage. All metal is very valuable and it can be recycled endlessly if it goes in the recycling bin. We could make up to 4.7 million rolls of toilet paper with recycled content. That's great. You know, it's going onto a big paper mill. It might get made into a variety of things, but if it was all made into toilet paper, that's what it could do. 2.3 million glass bottles, my favorite, 11 million pizza boxes, and cardboard can be recycled over and over and over. So if you're, you know, getting stuff shipped in the mail, which a lot of us are right now, make sure that's all getting recycled because it's, again, cardboard too is very valuable. We get a lot of volume of that. 1.3 million soup cans, and most of our plastic does stay in this region. Most of our recyclables do. And so our plastic goes to a company that makes it into plastic decking. So if you were to make some decks out of the amount of plastic we collect in Otter County, we can make 732 new decks. So your recycling does really go on to have a new life, and it, you know, you may not think it adds up to much when you just put one little thing in the bin, but really you can see it really does a lot when we all do it together. Okay, moving on. Rena, this one is you.
Yes, so all of that couldn't happen without the great team that we have here. And you know, in Otter County, we have a pretty long-standing recycling program, pretty well respected. I know when I started here about 2 years ago, all that I heard from our end markets was very positive. We have good quality product. And so, of course, we want to continue that. About the team, so we have 5 full-time sort line staff and 4 part-time sort time staff, 3 full-time drivers and 2 redemption workers. And it's pretty crazy. I added up the other day the number of years of service from just the recycling part of our department, and there's over 250 years of service. And of that, I think 9 of those people have like 220 of those years. So pretty astounding, long time workers here. It's been a good job. And I think that there's obviously an investment in the work. So it's a cool place to work, right, Cedar?
Yes. And we're close to running out of time, although I'm see our time limit is extended, but just in terms of getting people back to work or wherever they need to go. So we'll kind of cruise through these last couple of items. Feel free to enter questions in the chat still. We'll check that one more time at the end. Rena?
Yes, so we would very much appreciate if you'd stay informed. You can certainly follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and a lot of content, especially related seasonal content, is posted. So please follow us and stay in the loop.
Whoops. I think I accidentally clicked a link. Oh no.
Oh,
there we go.
And as Sarah touched on earlier, recycling is very important, obviously. That's why we're here, but we want to focus as much as we can on all of those things in the hierarchy that are higher up. So rethinking, redesigning. I even think about refusing. So if you're at Taco John's, do you really need the straw? Do you need the top to the cover to your pop? There are a lot of things, or I know Cedar's brought up the idea too, at Subway, they always want to give you the bag in like 18 million napkins. You can just refuse it nicely. And I think hopefully over time, they'll get more used to that, or even those companies will refine how they're offering services and products to people. So the top, yes, the most important, and recycling is really in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that refuse is like a muscle. If you practice saying no to a bag, no to an extra brochure, no to a pen from the bank, you just get used to saying no, and then you don't have all that extra stuff. Okay, and just very, very quickly, we are almost done. I know the holidays are upon us pretty much, and some people are even leaning into Christmas early. I feel like my family is already doing that. And this is a little bit of a funny cartoon. It's Santa just dumping the sleigh in the landfill. And it's, it's maybe an exaggeration, but we do make about 25% more garbage during the holidays than we do any other time of the year. That's food waste, wrapping paper, cheap things that we've bought people. So we really don't want to have a trashy little Christmas. We want to have a meaningful Christmas. So just think about giving experiences or things that could be used up instead, investing in reusable items, buying the best you can afford instead of just a bunch of smaller, cheap stuff. Use reusable wrapping materials like fabric. That's actually really fun, and I do that a lot. Gift wrap is not recyclable, unfortunately, even if it says it is on the package. It gets crumpled, and that's just the end of the story. We do have a green gift guide with lots of ideas for consumable, reusable, or gifts that are experiences. So you can go check that out online. And then make sure your string lights, if you're doing more decorating this year, because hey, why not? Those actually, again, like Rena said, need to go to transfer stations or get dropped off at the recycling center. And let's see, we've got a couple of things in the chat. I'm just going to look at that quick. Is it okay to put in the tin can part that comes off at the top? Rena, do you have a quick one sentence explanation?
That in regards to glass jars, I'm wondering?
Tin cans, the little top part.
Oh, I just put it in to make sure it gets recycled.
Put it in the can. You could leave it attached.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about the Waste Wizard. We thank you. We do have a free app on our website. It's also a free download for your phone. And that's like Google for your garbage. So if you're not sure if it's recyclable or where it goes, type that in and the answer pops up for you. And if there are no more questions, I think that is the end. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll hang out for a minute. So if you are out of time and you need to get off your lunch break, that's fine. It looks like there's a few questions and we'll answer those. Ooh, can I just put my good stuff at the end of my driveway for free? Depending on the town you're in. Yes, we see usable stuff thrown away every day. Perfectly good stuff. People pay to dispose of it because they don't want to, I don't know, go the extra 2 minutes to donate it. I'm not sure. Some towns don't like it when you do this. I think Fergus Falls, it's not allowed. I see people doing it anyway. So you don't just want to dump a bunch of stuff, but if you have like a good piece of furniture, and you put free on it, I know a lot of times it will just disappear. So that's my only comment. I don't know. I don't work for the city of Fergus Falls. Sorry, city of Fergus Falls. So we're just saying thank you for the info. So if you want to share the recording later, we'll just post it in the same place the link was. Anything else, Rena? Did we forget anything?
No, but I just know it's been a struggle through COVID with donations, and I think it's kind of eased up and pulled back and eased up and pulled back. And so restrictions are kind of all over the place, and things that people accept are all over the place. But just keep trying, people, to get things out and used if they're usable.
Yep, that's right. And remember, reduce, then reuse, then recycle. Thank you, everybody.